Ladies and gentlemen, Balaka Falls here in Para. Absolutely gorgeous. We just had a little bit of sprinkling rain this morning. I think we've got a thunderstorm coming later on in the afternoon, but look at it. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's going off. See around. What a beautiful location. What a beautiful location. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ancient Assyrian Props and Costumes. I'm Donald Barkho, and today we'll be talking about Ancient Assyrian Sword and Dagger hilts. This will be part 2 of my series in regards to some of the research and some of the imagery, iconography associated with Ancient Assyrian swords and the hand placements on them, and also daggers. So to begin with, what I'd like to do is continue where I left off, and I'd like you to follow my cursor as this will indicate exactly whereabouts I'm wanting you to draw your attention to. So here I've opened quite a few tabs in order for me to have them ready and prepared. These particular tabs are all from the British Museum website, and let's begin by analysing this particular wall panel. So it's a wall panel relief. Here is your museum number. So if you ever want to give a quote or talk to any specialists in regards to ancient Assyrian bas reliefs that I'm showing you, here is the item number that the museum is given, and up here what I want you to do is focus on the actual link or the web address for each one of these photos, and that way you can also use these references for yourself, save you having to look for them individually again. You can go through and see which particular image you like. So let's get started. So this particular wall relief is from the time period of the Assyrian king Ashurbanipal. Here you can see authority, ruler, Ashurbanipal, cultures, periods, Neo-Assyrian period. Production date is 660 BC to 650 BC. Find spot was the Southwest Palace at Nineveh. You can see the material, the dimensions of the whole slabs, all three I guess, together. It's got inscriptions, tells you some of the curator's comments, and goes down. You can see a lot more. So the description is quite long, and I'll go through and show you exactly some of the images that drew my attention within this particular bas relief. So here you've got a gypsum wall panel depicting the Battle of Tel Tuba, Battle of the River of Ulai in relief. In the lower register, the Assyrians are attacking from the left, where the Elamites have been stationed on a mound. The two armies are clearly distinguished by their equipment. The Assyrian cavalry and some of the infantry have pointed helmets and wear scale armor above the belt. Most of them carry spears and shields. As do other infantry in crested helmets. And there are lightly armoured archers with headbands. They tend to operate in pairs, with an archer protected by a spearman. The Elamites are nearly all lightly armed archers, with headbands tied to the back. Their quivers are decorated with palmettes. Some of them are riding carts drawn by donkeys or mules. It is clear that once the heavily armoured Assyrians have forced their way through the Elamite lines. The Elamites cannot operate effectively at close quarters. They stumble back down the side of the mound, and their retreat turns into a rout. This ends as they are driven into the river Ulai. The growing chaos is graphically reflected in the overall arrangement, with the largely horizontal lines of figures losing coherence as they move right, and the river stopping them dead as it cuts across the scene from top to bottom. So it goes on with the battle. Within the battle, critical incidents are picked out, forming an internal sequence of events like a strip cartoon operating independently of the general progress of the battle. In this scene, the Elamite king, Teoman, is identified and carried away in a chariot. Two other specific incidents are shown. In the central row, below Teoman's chariot, on the right, an Elamite noble is cutting his bow in token of surrender while an Assyrian threatens to kill him. And on the left, a wounded Elamite calls to an Assyrian to cut off his head. Wow, pretty intense. In the upper register, at the left, men are forced to kneel in front of querns. They are members of the ruling family and are being forced to grind up the bones of their ancestors. The two small fragments mounted to the right of the tent show similar scenes of punishment. Okay, so that will give you a gist of what's going on regarding this this bas relief. You can see the entire scene here, and now I'm gonna zoom in, and we'll get an idea for what's going on. So that's a cavalry, that's an Elamite cavalryman. There's the mound. So they're falling back. This must be the Elamite cart. That's a light Assyrian infantryman. That's a light Assyrian archer. Here you can see the spearman has speared the Elamite. This is what we're talking about in pairs, tandems. You've got an archer, heavy Assyrian infantryman, typical scale armor, conical helmet. Notice the difference between the wicker style shield here and something that is more representative of sheet metal, in this case possibly iron or bronze, with his spear. He's spearing the Elamites that are in the cart. But if we continue, here is a light Assyrian infantryman, a heavy Assyrian infantryman working in tandem as well. Okay, so in regards to Assyrian swords and daggers, this was what drew my attention. So this must be what they are talking about here. Forced to kneel. Okay, here. Two other specific incidences are shown. On the right, an Elamite noble is cutting his bow in a token of surrender while an Assyrian threatens to kill him. So here we go. This is the Elamite. Let's see if we can zoom in. There you go. There's the Elamite. There's his dagger in his hand, and he's cutting his bowstring to signify surrender. The Assyrian, what looks to be an archer, is wearing a wraparound shawl with a strap for his quiver and a strap for his sword, and broad belt as well. Here is his headband, and here is the dagger depicted in his hand. You could see the end of the pommel. protruding past the wrist. He's grabbing his hair so as to prepare the neck in order for him to be dispatched. But here is another Assyrian with his dagger in one hand and a decapitated head in the other, of an Elamite noble already, possibly the guy that's on the floor, or one of them that's already on the floor. He's holding his dagger in an ice pick grip. You can see the end of the guard here. The blade starts from here and ends approximately here, and you can see the mushroom style pommel above, protruding past the wrist, and he's holding the dagger or the short sword in an ice pick grip. This is a club lock. Notice the pommel protruding past. There is also another Assyrian here, heavy infantryman with a bow and quiver, sword drawn. He's holding his hand upon the sword up until the end of the guard. Pommel is protruding well past the wrist, and he also has dismembered an Elamite. So this is very interesting. You can see the position of the hand, ice pick grips and club lock grips in a forward, sometimes choking the guard and sometimes back towards the pommel. So I'm gonna go into some of the other reliefs. This seems to be the same, pretty much the same scene. But just to give you an idea, here you go. You can have a look at the link, and that'll take you to that object as well. Okay, so in the last episode I showed you these reliefs, but in reverse. So what I mean is we were having a look at them from the backs. Now we can see them from the fronts, indicated by the chest, and you can see the ribs. You can see the nipples on the chest, the sword strap over the right. So he's holding his dagger in his right, and he's got a mace in his left hand with his left foot forward. And in this case, this posture is very natural. Here also we can see a dagger tucked into the broad belt, an elaborate sheath at the bottom of it. So this is a wall relief found from Nineveh as well, excavated possibly by these people here, Hormuz Rassam, respect brother, from the North Palace of Nineveh. So there was the southeast or southwest palace of Nineveh, and then now we've got the North Palace of Nineveh that was built by Ashurbanipal. Of course, Neo-Assyrian period. Production date is 645 BC to 640 BC. And in this particular case, the description here is the item number, and then you've got the description. Gypsum wall relief panel. These spirits are from left to right, so here. Alakhmu, here we go, the guy with the six curls, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The Ugalu, so this is the Ugalu demon or great lion, and probably the house god. The hair of the Lakhmu is arranged in elaborate ringlets. This was an ancient style seen on semi-divine figures. The tassels hanging from his kilt also indicate divine status. He balances a spear on the ground with and the sheath of his dagger is carved with an animal's head. Yeah, it looks like a snake dragon or snake head. The great lion wears a kilt with fine detailing. The red paint is visible on his head. Okay, so this was another point I wanted to make. Here we can go into detail to see some of the decorations on the actual kilt. The broad belt, the sword strap. Here is the scabbard. Notice how big the scabbard is. Now we're going to go follow the sword strap over the right shoulder. Continue. Woohoo! Here we go. So you can see that's a mushroom pommel. The end of the guard is here, and the rest is the blade. But you notice it's approximately the same length. In that, if you were to take the length of the hilt from the end of the pommel to the end of the guard, you will notice that it's approximately 50-50. But here, look how big the scabbard is. You can see scabbard should be only approximately that big. But what I do believe is happening here is they're trying to avoid having, I think that the artists are trying to avoid having the dagger actually go onto the lion, so as not to be mistaken that he's actually killing himself. And in that respect, it would have been better to shorten, because you don't have much room from here to here. Otherwise, your blade length should have went over onto the head, which I believe, I can't prove it, but my instincts are telling me that in this case, the artist is trying to avoid having the length of the blade go onto the head, so that the potency of this spirit figure is not diminished and doesn't take away from him trying to guard from people coming into the gateway. Okay, so here you can see the nipples, the ribs, the chest. Here is just above, what's that, the collarbone area. Here is his mace. Look at the elaborate decorations that are on the narrow belt and the broad belt that has the net design, and then these lines as well. That's a very ancient style of hairstyle as well. You got the horned cap of power, in this case with what would be three pairs of horns. Notice the hair comes under and then gets tucked in to these bands, which is quite interesting. Very ancient hairstyle. Yeah, you can see the little cap on top of the horned crown. Okay, so here is another bas relief. Obviously this is a different one. I think this one's from the time period of Sennacherib, yeah. So the ruler Sennacherib, here is the item number, wall relief panel. So we're talking about the Neo-Assyrian period. Okay, gypsum wall panel relief showing a pair of protective spirits facing right, an Ugalu, great lion, preceded by what may be the house god. So this is the house god, and this is the Ugalu, the protective spirit, Neo-Assyrian. Okay, production date 700 BC, 692 BC. So when we zoom in, take a closer look. Let's see, maybe this one might be a little bit clearer. Okay. We can see some of the decorations on the wraparound shawl, kilt, broad belt. Look at the size of that scabbard, and let's see the size of the dagger here. Not very long. Again, I think what they're doing is trying to avoid the length of the blade going on to the actual head of the figure that they've carved. But even so, you can see that the end of the guard is here. So this is the blade. The guard starts and to the end of the mushroom pommel. You can kind of get a get an idea for the forward grip in an ice pick position. So the ice pick position is even on the guard too, avoiding the mushroom end of the pommel. Excavated, Hormus al-Sam, champion. Here, this particular relief was found at the Southwest Palace in Nineveh. So the other one were from Ashurbanipal's palace, the North Palace in Nineveh, and this one's from Sennacherib's Southwest Palace, palace without rival, as he had named it. We'll go in. Acquisition date 1856. Yeah. Okay. So here it is a little bit clearer. We can probably see the shape of the hand. Wow, okay. So in this case the thumb looks to be on the same side. No, actually it's not. That's the rib. So that's the pommel, mushroom pommel. That's the space, usually a shallow space for the pinky. Then you've got the rib. So this thumb is actually behind the hilt. Behind the hilt, because you can see that line there going across. So this would be the rib. So you would expect, remember, mushroom, space, rib, then the circle, then the rib, then the space, then the guard. Here you can see it's a diamond cross section, not quite a mid-rib, more like a flat diamond section to the edge, diamond section to the edge. So that would be the profile of this particular dagger. These ones were the ones that I was getting an Elamite vibe, but I think what could also be happening is they seem to look very similar, like the ancient Sumerian daggers that were found in burials that I think Woolley excavated in Ur from EDP early dynastic periods, I think 2600 BC. So this style of dagger is reminiscent of some of those that were found in gold with elaborate hilts. Okay, so this is a picture of Ashurbanipal. Here, okay. So this was the image that I was representing before. But here we can actually use the museum number. It gives you a description, and you could use the link straight away. And if we zoom in, you'll see that Ashurbanipal with 3 other people in the chariot is holding onto his bow. Notice the club lock he's got on his sword, and the hilt is well past his wrist, and his hand, his thumb even goes up to the guard. He's killing the lion that's pouncing. Something interesting, notice it's a door or a shield here that's blocking the open chariot as well. Quite interesting. And you also have these straps, and there is toggles which are tied by toggles to keep the side panels and the shield all into place. Not to mention, it would also give you a bit of leverage to lean back against, just in case, and stops, for example, in this case, lions trying to pounce from behind the chariot to dispatch charioteers. You can see the mid ribs when we zoom in. So how far does it go? It goes to approximately here. So he's gone in and out. You've also got two spearmen. Notice the design of the spearheads. These look like socket spearheads. Here you can see collars. So I'm assuming the spearhead will end probably here, or maybe a bit further down, even somewhere here. Here is your design. You've got three midribs on the hand, the blade. The guard looks like a half round, and a pommel too. Notice the elaborate pommel. Then you can see the midribs. And let's see if we can see the white on the eyes. Yeah, just. Here are some elaborate decorations that are on the crowns, and these peculiar headbands, which is very similar to what the Arabs tend to wrap around on top of the agal that they wear. You know, that black cord that they use to keep the agal in place. These seem to be very similar to what they wear. Okay. Oh, so in this case, maybe that's why I selected this photo here. You can see Ashurbanipal in a different position within the chariot. The chariot is huge by this stage. The size of the wheel is pretty much the rump of the horse down, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 ribs. You got the half mushroom pommel. There's no swell in the middle like in earlier times. However, they still have swells in the middle at this time, but on soldiers' swords, not Ashurbanipal's sword. It looks much more ergonomic and much more tailor-made to probably his specifications, his needs and wants. Yeah, okay, so we can see the square armor worn by the charioteers. So here we can see some of the elaborate decoration on the tunic, the so-called sleeve of the tunic. But here you've got square armor, charioteers and square armor. You see it in the charioteers of Sennacherib, especially the ones that are by the side of the king. When he's in the chariot, you'll see his charioteers wearing a square armor, but bigger, and by the time of Ashurbanipal they look to be no more than 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters each one. You can see the square within a square, and then the cross hatching on the next one, square within a square, and then the cross hatching in the next one. So we can move on to the next picture. Here is another bas relief. Again, take a look at the link. Here is the museum number, gives you a description. This is Ashurbanipal's chariot line hunts. Here you can see the king's crown. The three Assyrians that are collecting their spears. The bows being handed to the king. The king's got his wrist and arm strap for his bow, so that there's no slap on the wrist from the bowstring. You can see it goes up over the index finger, wraps around the thumb, and then goes on the inside of the forearm, and is usually tied above the elbow, so the lower bicep. You can also see the narrow belt, broad belt, the scale armor, the square scale armor that is being worn here by the chariot driver. The one man is holding the wheel from moving. Here is the strap, and there is the toggle that I'm talking about. And if you zoom in, that's as far as I can go. Here I think we can see the edge of a shield or a door to the back of the chariot. And this man is, I believe, not doing the toggle up, but just holding the wheel in place so that the chariot doesn't move, while the rest of the crew collect the weapons before they go on the lion hunt. Okay. So moving on to the next image, we have a wall panel from the Neo-Assyrian period, excavated by Hormuz of Assam, Southwest Palace in Nineveh. You get an idea of the dimensions regarding the slab. So what's that, width 144 by length 100. Wow, okay, it looks longer this way, so you would think this is the 144 and this is the actual width of 100 centimeters. Anyway, you see both of them are wearing long tunics. You've got the sword strap, the belt, narrow belt on top of the sword, and then the broad belt under all that. There's the narrow belt on top of the sword, and that also has the sword strap, the armored sword straps that we'll get to finally. Okay, so here is the museum number. It says a gypsum wall panel relief showing 2 Assyrian officers bearing maces and armed with daggers. Yeah, I think they'd be more like short swords. There are traces of a 3rd soldier on the left edge, so here. But let's zoom in and see what's going on. Are they barefoot? Yeah. In this case, here is your belt. This one's got a stick, probably, and he's holding a mace. Yeah, they're all holding maces. So that's a mace head. That's the end of the mace. And that's a mace too. But here, what I wanna. Okay, that's as far as I can go in. If you look carefully, you can see the mushroom pommel, then the ribs. In this case, you've got 2 ribs. Then the swell, the half, the circle, then the rib, and then the guard. But there's fluting on this. And this fluting is pretty much identical to what's been shown on a historical, like a piece that was actually excavated, and we'll show that. Okay, so here is the link. You got the wall panel. This one's from Sennacherib's wall panel, gypsum wall panel, showing prisoners from the town of Alamu. In the lower register, Assyrian soldiers and auxiliaries bring the heads of slain prisoners to an officer of the king's guard carrying a long staff and a large round shield. They are followed by prisoners handcuffed to the belt. Okay. So they're handcuffed to the belt, followed by one being executed en route, and women with children who are judging from, wow, here we go, judging from their dress are of Syrian type. So from more around the areas of Aleppo, Syria, in Damascus, in those areas. The scene is set between a river plentiful in fish and a row of trees and vines which point to Syria or a western land. The careful distinctions made in the equipment of the soldiery are interesting. The auxiliaries wearing crested helmets carry round shields which seem to be wickerwork, and long pikes. They wear the knee covering represented by hatching. One type of bowman is bareheaded with a decorated fillet and has no corselet, and the one executing a prisoner has crossed straps to hold the short skirt. No, it's not to hold the short skirt. It's actually because he's an archer, and one strap is for his actual quiver and the other one is for his sword. Actually, I've also seen they wear two bands. One is the actual strap of the quiver, and then they wear another strap on top to keep the quiver in position. So because he's facing from left to moving to the right, you can't see his back, but you remember in the style of the Assyrian stonemasons, if you want to see the back, you need to refer to images where they're going from the right to the left. But anyway, let's get into this and see what's going on. Okay, so these are the vineyards. Here are the scribes. There's a head, there's a head, there's a head. This is an auxiliary. Notice the frilled headdress, the headband. Here he's just wearing a kilt. There's his angular bow. This one's got foot gear, just like these guys. So here's a special auxiliary man, round shield. Oh yeah, here, that's a King's Guard right there. That's a heavy infantryman. Big red conical shield. See the conical helmets. That's an archer, auxiliary archer. That's an auxiliary spearman. The frilled. Notice the headband. Here is a Assyrian heavy infantryman. You can even see the hinges on their ear flaps or cheek pieces. This is angular bow, composite bow. Here are the swords, the sheaths to their swords. Okay, so this is the guy that they're talking about. Now, these straps, one is to hold, see, that's his sword. Either one is to hold his sword and the other is to hold his quiver, or I've seen even they wear two. One catches the tip, so that's his quiver strap, and this one goes around the bottom of the quiver to hold it into place when they're on the move. You can see again the relatively short dagger. In this case there is space if they wanted to have drawn it longer, but you can see the size of the sheath compared to the blade, what looks to be, I'm assuming, a mushroom pommel. There are the women and the children, and it's by these shawls that they're wearing and the fact that their heads are covered as well. You actually use the shawl to cover your head, so it's a matter of wrapping the shawl in a way so that the shawl covers your head at the same time while wrapping all the way around your body and then exposing the fringe in certain positions. So this is very reminiscent of the Syrian style that they're talking about. Here is the child. Okay, so what's that dated to? That's Sennacheribs. Yeah, Sennacheribs, Neo-Assyrian, 700 to 692 BC. Southwest palace without rival. This is a gorgeous palace relief from the time of Ashur-narsapal II, from his sculptures in the city of Kalhu that he built or rebuilt. And here you can see rectangular shield, C-shaped grip. And the man's got his, the Assyrian's got his dagger or short sword out, and he's dispatching. Notice how he's pinning the man down, the touch, and he's projecting his shield forward, pressing the shield against the enemy, and dispatching him as well at the same time. You got one of his friends trying to help him out, but it ain't happening. You can see this is a chariot driver of the enemy chariot who stacked it. The chariot horses are in disarray. When we come down lower here, you get two gentlemen. These guys possibly have fallen from the fortifications or thought themselves men, and are now being dispatched again, holding the hair on the head, and stabbing here in this case. And here, look how he presses his shield against his enemy to kill him. That's a finesse, very nice finesse way of holding your sword. And that's just a club lock. He's going for it. He's shanking him here. Archers. Now let's go. Same thing. Press with your shield against the enemy and then stab. Very interesting. Okay, there's another really cool thing about this relief. It says a gypsum wall panel relief. Ashur-narsapal II is shown assaulting our city under the protection of the god Ashur. So here is the god Ashur. Even this soldier is under the protection of the god Ashur. There is Ashur-narsapal, that's his chariot driver, that's his shield bearer, who's projecting his arm forward, protecting the driver of the chariot, and also the king. Notice the lion-headed shield with the spikes on the shield, and then the curved gullies around the actual shield, C-shaped handle. Lion boss, gorgeous. Here you can see Ashur-narsapal's hilt. But let's see what else it says. Okay. Above, an enemy soldier tries to pull his friend to safety. On the right, the Assyrian soldiers are seizing men who are hiding among the trees by the city wall. Oh, is that what they're doing? And to the left of the royal chariot are two others who are hacking off a hand and an arm from a fallen foe. There is an inscription in cuneiform script. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Anything else? Okay. Northwest Palace at Nimrud. Yeah, Kalhu. Production date 865 to 860 BC. Okay. So there's the chariot. And you can see the segments of the outer felloes, the brackets, the central hub, actually 8 spokes in this case. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, he's not chopping hands off. He's definitely not chopping hands off. So who are they talking about chopping hands off? No, that's the guy who's pulling his friend to safety. This guy is attacking him, so it's 1 on 2. What are these guys throwing rocks as well? Yeah, it looks like it. He's got a spear. Sorry, a shield. Yeah, possibly it could be some more of the slab that has been not verified there. Yeah, they're charities. No, I can't see. Sorry, mate. Your description is wrong. Let's see. On the right, the Assyrian soldiers are seizing men. On the right, okay, are seizing men who are hiding amongst the trees. So what trees are they talking about? Oh, okay, here. Yeah, seizing men. Okay, so they're the trees that they're talking about. Yeah. Okay, by the city wall. And to the left of the royal chariot, to the left, so that means behind here would be somewhere in this section. Two others who are hacking off a hand and an arm from a fallen foe. Okay, well, I can't see that, and there's no other image, so I'll take your word for it. Actually, no, I won't. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try go up at the top here and see if I can get in the shot. From here to here. See if we can step on this. There we go. It's right on the edge. Right on the edge.
dirrani. Makobetu. Tabibim yokre. Balaka Falls. Such a pretty place. Oh, the people that live here are blessed. Epic. Epic. Yeah, there they are. Right there. That's where I was before. Take the footage. Maybe we can get slightly better image. And just let me get my footing. And we'll see if we can get a bit. We'll see if we can get a bit closer. That's the edge that I'm on, and the water flowing on this side and this side. So we'll hop down. Now here we go. Jeez, that water's cold, eh? Bit brown, but now we've got this side. And that one there. So look at that. That is a full-blown shower. That is a full-blown shower. So before I was standing up here and up here. That's the very top of the waterfall. Then there's this step here. We got some space. I'd love to go under the rocks. Right through there. There's a way you can get through. Summertime, this would be amazing. What a place to chill out. So here is the edge. If I can look closer, this way. And here's this little slide. This slide usually goes off to when that creek is full. This whole side gets covered as well. So I wouldn't even be able to stand exactly where I'm standing now. You can see all the moss. It's all slippery. One wrong move and you're going into the water, I can tell you now. And the creek. That's Australia. That's Sydney. That's para.